43% of employees who report financial misconduct through internal channels face some form of retaliation within 90 days. I became a statistic in 72 hours. I discovered the overcharging on a Tuesday afternoon while reconciling a client account that did not balance. The discrepancy was small, $11.30, but the pattern it pointed to was not. When I followed the thread back through 6 months of billing records, I found 112 instances of clients being charged for services that had not been rendered, at amounts ranging from $8 to $462. Total overcharging across the period, $37,814 across 41 client accounts. I reported it to my line manager that afternoon. She referred it to the finance director. The finance director was a man named Richard. By Thursday morning, an error log had appeared in the HR system documenting 14 performance errors attributed to my work over the previous 4 months. I had not been informed of a single one of them at the time they were supposedly recorded. My laptop felt different when I opened it that Thursday morning. Not different in any way I could describe to anyone, just different, like something about it had changed overnight while I was not looking. The retention anchor. Error logs in the HR system have metadata. Every entry records the date and time it was created. 14 entries, dated across 4 months, all created at the same timestamp, all created at 11:40 p.m. on Wednesday, the night after I had reported the overcharging. 14 entries, one timestamp, 11:40 p.m. My name is Sarah. I had worked in accounts for 9 years. I was not the kind of employee who collected enemies. I was the kind of employee who stayed late to balance things that did not balance, who sent the email at 7 in the morning, because she had been thinking about a problem since the night before, who found $11.30 and followed it to $37,000, because that is what the job required. Richard had been finance director for 4 years. He had built a billing structure that nobody had questioned because nobody had been looking closely enough, and because the clients who were being overcharged were not the kind of clients who line by line their invoices. He had not intended to be discovered. He had intended to be careful. He had been careful for 2 years. Then I reconciled an account on a Tuesday, and his careful 2 years ended. The performance improvement plan arrived Friday morning. 6 areas of concern. All of them traced back to the error log that had been created Wednesday night. My attorney, a woman named Michelle, employment law specialist, with the particular alertness of someone who has seen retaliation before and recognized it immediately, said, "The metadata is the case. Everything else is noise." I had filed an EEOC complaint, the federal process for reporting workplace retaliation, the same day I received the performance plan. Michelle had walked me through it Thursday evening. She said, "Document everything. The log, the plan, the timeline, the metadata especially." She said, "Do not touch the HR system. Do not respond to the plan in writing without me. And do not let anyone tell you that what you found was an error. It was not an error. I had the billing records. I had the client accounts. I had the spreadsheet I had built on Tuesday afternoon with 112 line items that had no legitimate explanation. The midpoint was when Richard's attorney produced, in response to Michelle's evidence bundle, a revised version of the error log in which the metadata had been altered to show the entries spread across 4 months rather than created simultaneously. The revision had been made after the original log had been submitted in discovery. Altering a document after submitting it in legal proceedings is not a performance management decision. It is a different kind of problem entirely. The original timestamp was in Michelle's files. She had screenshotted the HR system before the first discovery submission. The case against me was dropped the day before the EEOC hearing was scheduled. Dropped entirely. No settlement, no negotiation, just a withdrawal, sent by Richard's attorney on a Wednesday morning, with no explanation and no conditions attached. The shock was what happened next. The EEOC does not stop investigating when a retaliation complaint is withdrawn by the employer. The underlying conduct, the overcharging, the fabricated log, the document alteration, was referred to the relevant regulatory bodies. Richard was placed on administrative leave 2 weeks after the withdrawal. I did not go back to the company. I found another position 3 months later. Accounts role, similar level. On my first day, I reconciled 2 client accounts before lunch and found nothing wrong with either of them. The absence of anything wrong felt strange. It took me a while to understand that I was waiting for the discrepancy that would start it all again. There was not one. There was just the work. That is what normal looks like, and it took me 4 months to stop treating it with suspicion. What I carry is the Tuesday, the account that did not balance, the thread I followed. I would follow it again, and I know I would follow it again, and that is the thing that exhausts me most. Not what happened, but the certainty that given the same information, I would make exactly the same choice. Some choices do not become easier just because you know what they cost.